Hey everybody, welcome to etrailer.com. I'm Bobby. Today we're taking a look at the Titan chain snow tire chains, diagonal style with steel rollers. Here today on our 2021 Volkswagen Tiguan. Now guys, this can be a nice, decent little way of just giving you a small little set of tire chains just to go ahead and make sure that if you do encounter a little bit of snow and ice, you have a way of kind of going through it. Now I will say the steel rollers here are going to be your least aggressive option. So they're not going to be really that suited for heavy ice or snow, primarily, you know, kind of in your small to kind of moderate uses, especially a lot of road driving. I wouldn't trust these guys in the off-road to really do anything. The steel rollers do kind of create more of a nicer ride, so that means they're not as aggressive for yourself. So they're going to be a little smoother, and with the diagonal style as well, you guys can kind of see here, we have a lot of swaths of coverage that we're not covering on our tire, and then we have these guys kind of going back and forth across it. So you're kind of getting a combination style here with that diagonal. What that means, you are getting pretty decent good start and stops as you have these ridges to overcome throughout the entirety of the wheel, but you're not really losing nearly as much on your turning radiuses, as hopefully that diagonal spread is going to allow us to kind of lean into those curves and not have to overcome those valleys and those hills, I should say, much like you would with a ladder style. So it kind of puts you right in the middle, which is kind of nice when you are kind of talking about that style. Now the rollers themselves are going to be made of a steel alloy, so they should be holding up decently well. However, in my opinion, they're probably not going to be super corrosion resistant. The one thing I will say to that, any kind of grease or oil when you are done with them is going to be essential, in my opinion, for these guys, of just keeping them in working order. The steel rollers can quickly become rusted in between, and then they just don't glide as well. So if that's something that you really are worried about, a little bit of maintenance can go a long way of really extending these guys' life. Well, you also do have it here today on our front wheel. Now, the reason for that, a lot of these guys are an all-wheel drive vehicle. However, a lot of them are also only front-wheel drive. We've gone ahead and put it on the front here today, so make sure you are checking your owner's vehicle manual guide to make sure you are putting on the right wheel for yourself. Now, the installation isn't my favorite to do. I think it's kind of a pain overall, especially for a roller style system. Now I have tried these guys on a lot of different vehicles and they're not as bad. This just seems to be a slight kind of hiccup of a fit. Honestly, probably not the worst because you're probably putting them on in the garage, and if you do that a couple times, you know, during the week, it's definitely not going to become too much of a pain, I think, once you find the trick. So let's go ahead and hop to and see how we can get them installed. Well guys, to get these installed, first things first, we're going to go ahead and just lay out our chains like so. Now one thing that's nice about rollers, you don't have a lot of links getting kinked up or kind of walking on each other. The only thing you really run into, these guys might be kind of inside one of these guys. Makes it really easy to get these laid out in no time at all. What we're simply going to be doing is actually taking this on the backs of our tire and bring it back across. So this little gap here is going to be perfect for slinging underneath our tire. Then we can make this front connection. So just to give you guys an idea how you want it to lay out, you want your longer ends towards the outside, and of course your tire side should be facing you as we're going to be enveloping the wheel. To do that, I just simply am going to take my chain here and I'm going to throw it behind my wheel just like so, trying to keep my connections there for myself and finding it on the other side as well. And then I can go ahead and make my back connection by simply grabbing this end and grabbing this end and bringing them together. So as we make that first connection, I kind of want to reseat it here. I do want it to sit properly. I don't want to be pulling off the entire way as I just did. So since this guy is that diagonal style, you can kind of see how it doesn't want to sit there as easily as maybe a ladder style might. And then we can go ahead and start making our first front connections here. So I am just kind of working that slack up here. Sometimes it gets caught in the back, as you guys might have seen. And then we just simply want to slot that in and make that connection happen for ourselves. So we might be able to get this second one here. I am having a little difficulty with it, so let me play around with it, see what we can do. I'm just gonna take my bottom connection, can simply slot it in just like so, and it's gonna sit right there. As you guys can see though, we do have just a little bit of slack now though, and all we really wanna do is kind of just properly make sure we're taking all the slack out of the back as well, getting it to where we can. All right, everybody, we actually were able to get this second latch put on here. And personally, it just took a lot of effort. You know, he had to put a boot here to push this guy in, this arm in. I was trying to pinch both of these guys the entire time. So it is definitely a fit to that second latch. It's definitely a pain to do though. For me, for a roller style tire chain, it just stinks that I have to spend so much time on these guys. Normally they're a quick little fix. They put right on, it takes no time at all. So personally, not my favorite tire chain out there, but we actually do want to go ahead and actually take these rubber tensioners as well and throw them on there. As you guys can see, it is still loose here. I can fit almost 2 fingers width here between this, and that's just because we're not taking a lot of the slack out. So to do that, we have this included rubber tensioner, which is great because a lot of times you have to buy them separately. Not for this guy, it does come included. And then we simply just want to slot this in and start taking this in a diagonal pattern here for ourselves today. So we're just going to go down here for ourselves, up and out to the side, down and to the side, and just repeating the process as we go around. You can really see how much slack it takes out, and that really takes out all that extra slack that we're seeing in our chain, which is great. And with our last connection, we're done. So you can see it does an excellent job of pinching these in. And now personally, again, I'm not the biggest fan of what this is doing here though. As you guys can see, it's kind of pulling this into our rim here. Now, luckily for us, our plastic spacers should do a decent job of keeping our braided coil from contacting our rim. But even then, these plastic clips are gonna have a slight kind of vibration and contact with your rim. So now that we have all that done, we are nice and installed. One thing I would say, maybe drive it forward and back a couple times, let the chains sit for themselves, and then readjust as you need to. And of course, make sure your rubber tensioners are staying on there and none of your connections come undone. Well, hopefully you guys kind of saw what I meant with that installation just being a little bit tricky. Again, if you're really worried about your rims, which you might be, because you guys see here, standard rims here today are pretty nice looking, might not be the best fit for yourself as well. There's a multitude of tire chains out there. The Koenig XG12 are always a great little option for yourself. I think they're nice because it becomes a really easy fit. They're kind of like this guy where they simply go around your wheel and you're not making that bottom connection. However, they just seem to always kind of fit a little bit better, just easier to kind of use. And this guy just has a little bit of usability issues that I'm not the biggest fan of. However, if you need something that's going to be great to keep in your vehicle, just to kind of keep you compliant with state laws, this can be a nice one too. Therefore, you actually have a way of, yeah, you can throw on chains, but you're probably not going to be experiencing a lot of heavy snow and ice on the road. So personally, going to be a great little pickup just to get you by. Well guys, it also does come with this nice little case as well. Kind of has some nice little grommets here on the underside as well to let you kind of get all that snow and ice out of there even as it melts. And this can be a nice way of just keeping that kind of sludge out of your vehicle. Now I will see these guys are apt to kind of tear, not too hard as well. You do have a lot of hard points of contact. You're putting metal in a canvas bag, so that's kind of something you have to watch out for, but it can be a nice little decent way of transporting it, and you're never really going to be able to beat a plastic tub that you can kind of keep at home or in your vehicle. But nice that you have a little bit of an option of ways to transport it. Well guys, I think that about does it for our look at the Titan Chain Snow Tire Chain Diagonal Steel Rollers here today on our 2021 Volkswagen Tiguan. I'm Bobby. Thank you for watching.